Hi friends, today is a very special day. We're starting seeds! Spring is right around the corner. I feel it in the air. It has been raining so much, which is great because we need this soil saturated. It's been a relatively dry winter, honestly, so it's nice to get this kind of rain coming in right now. Although it has put a stop to my greenhouse building plans, but that's okay. I'm gonna take this time to start seeds. I wanted to wait until I finished the greenhouse to start seeds in there, but I don't think I got that much time. I don't want to be too far behind with starting seeds because there are things that definitely need to be started right now. So I am going to start them in our other greenhouses just to get them started. They won't be in there for very long. Once this greenhouse is complete, I am going to move them into there. But today is literally a full moon, and I can't think of a better time to start seeds. Full moons are the beginning of a new cycle, new energy. Great time to start seeds. I've never actually followed the cycles of the moon to garden essentially, but I know a lot of people do it with amazing results. Why not follow the cosmos in our gardens? So let's start some seeds. So for this full moon, I'm gonna start a round of seeds. The next full moon is gonna be March 12th or 14th. I think that'll be a good time to start the next round of seeds. Although that does feel a little late in the season for me particularly, but considering we've been having frosts very late in the season over the past few years, I think it would be nice to push things back just a little bit. And then mid-April, that's when the next full moon is gonna be, so maybe that's when the seedlings that I'm starting now can go out. And then mid-May is when the next full moon is gonna be, so maybe that's when that second round of seedlings can go out. We'll see. I'm trying something new this year. For those of you who don't know, these are the greenhouses. If you don't know, my partner is actually the owner of a carnivorous plant nursery called Red Leaf Exotics, where he specializes in nepenthes, the tropical pitcher plant. And these are the greenhouses for his nursery. Funny enough, he's already filled the greenhouses to the brim, so I literally don't have that much room to work with starting my seeds. But again, this is gonna be temporary, a great place to at least get my seeds started before I transition them to my greenhouse when it's done. I don't know if you can tell, but Dominic loves to garden too. He has all these beautiful bog gardens outside of his greenhouse where he grows outdoor pitcher plants called Sarracenia. And yeah, it's just a beautiful place to be. He is a wizard when it comes to gardening and landscaping. Stunning! We will definitely have tours of the greenhouses and the bog gardens when things are a little bit more in season, so stay tuned for that. But let's start on these seeds. This is our head house where we store a lot of the plants from outside over winter so they don't die. It's also where we pack and ship and repot a lot of plants. It's the head house. This is gonna be where the magic happens. It is a little bit unorganized, but if you go into anyone's greenhouse, this is pretty normal. Let's start our seeds. One of my favorite things about being in the greenhouse is, do you hear the frogs? We have a really big wet spot behind the greenhouse and a lot of moisture in the actual greenhouse, so we have a ton of frogs. And since it's been raining, everything's wet, everything's saturated. This is literally what it sounds like when spring is around the corner. I love it. It brings me so much peace. Before diving in, I just want to clarify that I am going to be starting cool crops, which are things that like the cooler season. So they go out much earlier in the season, in early spring. They thrive in that cooler weather, and they're usually ready to harvest by the time midsummer comes around when it gets really, really hot. These are things that like going out in early spring. So these are seeds I start earlier than my hot crops. Usually I like to start these seeds about 6 to 8 weeks before transplanting them into the garden. We're about 2 months out from all of this stuff going out into the garden, so this is prime time. And that's relatively true for any growing zone. So if you're 2 months out from being able to put stuff out into the garden, it's time to start seeds. If you're 2 months out before early spring and the cool crops go out, start your seeds. If you're 2 months out from hot crops going out into the garden, start your seeds. But before getting started, I want to get my seed trays ready before actually planting stuff, just so everything's ready and I can really streamline the seed starting process. So to start my seeds, I like using these little 2-inch cell trays. It has individual little pockets where all of my little seeds can be started. This is just my preferred method. There are many ways to start seeds. I really like doing this. I know there's like a lot of controversy over using plastic, but if you take good care of your materials, these can last a very long time and they can be a lot more sustainable than you think. I have tried compostable pots in the past, but they actually take quite a while to break down in the soil. And by the time they break down, the root system of the plant is like ready to break free, and it can actually kind of constrict the root system of the plants. Usually with compostable pots, I usually end up taking them out of the pot anyways. This is what I've been doing year after year, so I'm just gonna stick with my cell trays. Now, once the seeds do get big enough, I do transplant them into larger pots so they can grow out even more, so the plants are nice and strong and big by the time they go into the garden. I don't like transplanting things when they're too small or too tender, because the elements will have a field day with them, you know? So I want to make sure they're strong and sturdy before going out. This is a great starting point. So I have my seed trays, and then I have these sturdier trays that the seed trays go into, because once this gets filled with dirt, it becomes pretty heavy, and these can like break under the pressure. So it's nice having this reinforced tray underneath to hold it all together. So for my seeds, I am using a standard potting mix. I know there's also seed starting mixes that you can use. This is what I've been using year after year and hasn't really failed me, so I'm just gonna keep doing this. I'm just gonna fill these up with some soil. When filling up my seed trays, I'm actually very conscious not to fill them up all the way. I actually fill up the cells about 3/4 to like halfway, because something that happens a lot with seedlings is they tend to grow out and get really leggy or stringy. So I like to give them a little bit of room to like actually grow out of the cell. And as they grow, I pack the cell with more soil to really give support to that stem when it gets leggy. Oh my God, it feels so good to be playing with dirt again. I like to go in with my other cell trays and pack this down so everything's pretty uniform. Beautiful. Now to plant the seeds. Seeds I'm gonna be starting today are my cool crops. So those are gonna be things like your brassicas, cabbages, broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts, also a bunch of herbs like sage, lavender, oregano. I also have a lot of flowering native plants. And something very unique about these is that they have to be cold stratified, which essentially means they have to be exposed to cold weather in order to activate, essentially. So these are gonna go in their own individual seed tray, and I'm actually gonna place these outside after I plant them so that they can experience the cold weather. We still have quite a few cool nights over the next few days, so I think that's gonna be exactly what they need to stratify. My cool crops do not need that. They will stay in the greenhouse. So yeah, let's plant some seeds. Abundance. I'm so excited. I actually think the gloves are coming off for this, because the seeds are so small, it's like hard to feel them with gloves. I need to feel them with my bare hands. Oh my God, I waited so long for this moment. I've missed playing with dirt. With how crazy the world is right now, this is exactly the type of therapy that I need. This gives me hope for the future. So when you're starting seeds, usually on the seed packet, it gives you a really good idea of how deep you need to plant your seeds, when is a good time to start them, how much spacing they'll need when you plant them in the garden. There is tons of information on the seed packet, so make sure you read them very well before getting started. Before doing anything, gotta make sure I write me a label so I know what the hell I'm planting. So on the label, I write the name of the plant along with the date that I planted. just to keep track of when all of this got started. I do reserve each individual row for one specific plant. I like to grow an abundance of each plant just so I can weed out and go through and decide which one of the seedlings is the strongest. And it's also never a bad idea to have backup plants in case plants die when they're actually transplanted into the garden for a variety of reasons, like scorching in the sun, freezing, getting trampled or eaten. It never hurts to have a backup. So to prepare the area that I'm gonna be planting my seeds in, I literally use a pencil because that's what I use to write my labels. It's pretty easy to use. Creates the perfect size little hole you need to get your seeds in there. This is cabbage, and cabbage likes to be planted half an inch deep into the soil. So that's how deep I made my holes. So I have my seeds. I literally just grab a few of them, never just one. I usually sprinkle a few in the hole. And then as they grow, I thin them out or trim any of the weaker looking ones. And that way you're left with like the strongest growing plant. Once they're in, I just go in with my pencil and lock them into place. So easy. So easy. And then I repeat the process for every other individual seed. Boop. I do like doing one individual seed at a time, just to keep things organized. It's very easy to get seeds confused when you're juggling them all over the place. Oh my god, these seeds are so tiny. They're so cute. Sprinkle, 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 sprinkle. Oh my gosh, these are the giant Sapporo seeds. Y'all remember Audrey, my giant cabbage? This is her! Sprinkle, sprinkle! To the next generation of Audreys. May the odds be in your favor. Hey, this I'm really excited for. I've tried this in the past with a lot of failure. Really, it was just one time. Brussels sprouts! Ah! Really hoping they come through this season. I haven't really done much research on how to properly grow the Brussels sprouts, but I'm the type of person that does the research as I go. I'll figure it out. Again, have backups. It's starting to rain. I love hearing the drizzle on the roof of the greenhouse. The sounds of spring! I actually think I'm gonna do 2 rows of the Brussels sprouts, because I want to grow a lot of it. Like, I eat a lot of Brussels sprouts, so why not grow an abundance of them? Pew, pew. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Sprinkle, sprinkle. I am so excited. I'm ready to grow Brussels sprouts. We're also growing broccoli. Oh, also, the garden plan is out. If you want to see everything that we're growing this season, you should totally check that out. I'll put it somewhere here so you can see our plan and how we plan on planting everything and what's going to be paired with what. Oh, and just for reference, we are in zone 7B. Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts. Close my eyes and leave. It's time to try defying gravity. You ever just sing to your plants? Maybe that's why my plants grow so well. I sing to them all the time. I'm flying high, defying gravity. Take it away, Bruno! It's your solo, come on! Catch me in renown. And nobody in all of us, no wizard that there is or was, is ever gonna bring me down. job. Good job. All right, I'm gonna plant these seeds. I'm gonna plant these seeds. I know, I'm gonna plant these seeds. You like broccoli too. I'm gonna plant broccoli. Oh, there aren't even that many. Also, by the way, if you wanna see the companies that I get seeds from, I'll put it here so you can see that video. I did do a seed haul a few weeks back, so check that out. In these challenging times that we're having, I think seed starting is really the most economical way to grow your abundance. I mean, for the price of one potted plant, you can buy a seed packet with like 20 to 30 seeds for an individual plant. And depending on the type of seeds and the type of plant, you could literally get hundreds of seeds in a packet. Yeah, it's a little bit more work to start the seeds, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. I was in the 212 on the uptown. Do you know what's up or don't you? I'm a rude bitch. What are you made up of? Up. 212. Ugh, kale! Fun fact, kale was the very first plant I ever planted, and it's what made me fall in love with gardening. I killed a shit ton of them. But that's the best way to learn. Make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Everybody gets that way. Something I really want to reiterate is to pay attention to the seed packet when you plant something. Every type of seed likes to be planted a different way. Of course, many of them are similar, but some of them really have more specific requirements. For example, seeds like lavender or maybe even oregano, they don't actually want to be planted in the soil. They just want to be sown directly on top, patted into the soil and misted. Every seed has their own vibe, so pay attention to that before planting. Our first tray is done! Ah! Abundance loading! So now, I'm gonna water them in. You don't wanna be too aggressive when watering stuff in. A light sprinkle, you could even water from the bottom, mist right on top. Otherwise, it can overflow and your seeds can become a mess. We don't want that. Abundance! Now we do it all over again. Something I do want to know about starting seeds, I am growing in a greenhouse. I'm growing in a weather-controlled space. So the conditions in here are pretty optimal for starting seeds. The things seeds need in order to really thrive: light, warmth, and moisture. You want to make sure your plants are getting plenty of light. You want to make sure they are warm enough to thrive. That can vary from seed to seed. But typically you want to be above at least 55 degrees. To germinate seeds though, probably even warmer than that. I'd say like at least 70 degrees. There are like warming pads that you can get and put underneath your seeds when you're starting them. Those are really helpful. And 3, moisture. You want to make sure your seeds remain moist through the entire germination period. You don't want them drying out because they'll shrivel up and die. You don't want that. There are lots of ways to emulate those kinds of conditions indoors with grow lights, growing shelves. So really find what's best for you. Another thing worth mentioning is I am starting these in very controlled conditions. They're getting very diffused, bright light. The conditions are very consistent temperature-wise. They're not getting exposed to a lot of wind. When your seedlings start to get bigger, you are going to need to acclimate them so that they can endure outdoor conditions. Essentially, you are treating them little by little to the outside world so they can get used to those conditions little by little. Now, I am going to eventually transition these little seedlings to my greenhouse where they will be exposed to full sun. So that's one thing they'll not necessarily have to be acclimated to because they will be growing in it. But I will have to make sure they're used to things like wind, and fluctuations in temperature. So I still have to do something called hardening off my seedlings, where you acclimate them, you introduce them to the outside world little by little. Of course, I'll be making a video on that, so stay tuned. I miss getting my hands dirty. Therapy. Ooh, here's something new that I've never started from seed before. Celery! But this is one of those seeds that you essentially want to surface sow. You don't want to plant it too deeply in the soil. What do celery seeds look like? Oh my God. They're so tiny. Look at how small they are. Oh my God. They're like sand. Literally just sprinkling them on top of the soil. As they grow, I'll definitely be adding in soil to like help reinforce those stems, because I have a feeling they're gonna get a little leggy. Excuse me, Bruno. Oh, careful, Bruno. These are delicate little seeds. Can't lose them. Ah, hold on. Bow, 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 bow. Abundance! We got another one. So this is actually the tray of native flowers that I was talking about. These I'm actually gonna set outside so that they can stratify in the cold, like I mentioned earlier. And it's so great because it's literally raining, so they're gonna get watered in perfectly. Ah! You're coming with me! Ah! We have this great little area over here with tables. Good luck, babes! Alrighty, y'all, I still have so many seeds that I have to get through, but thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you had fun starting our seeds with me. I hope it got you inspired and excited to start your seeds. Now is the time. It's time for a new season of abundance. Let's go! If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. Let me know what you're excited to grow this season. And if you enjoyed this video, leave an abundance down in the comments below. Thank you all so much again. I'll see you soon. Bye.